Rainbow Six normally goes through a few meta changes with each season, and DMRs in particular have pretty much been at the top through every single one of the recent metas. This weapon class is the strongest and most consistent one available, which should bring fun and enjoyment, but it does the complete opposite. There's many different problems they currently have, so I'm going to break down every single one of them and showcase why so many people complain about how they completely ruin the game. The damage numbers for all DMRs floats between 60 to 70 per shot. By only hitting 2 body shots with a select few of them, it's a guaranteed kill on every character. That starts to change a little bit at 30 meters when entering damage fall-off range, but the average engagement is around 10 to 15 meters, so in most gunfights, the DMR is putting out its max damage. The damage output with these weapons is really high, and it would make sense to balance it out by making the recoil harder to control. However, the 417 is the best DMR at the moment. It does 69 damage per shot with recoil that is not at all hard to control. The recoil by default without attachments looks like this. Your crosser bounces all over the place, so being precise is very difficult. Now add on a muzzle brake and a vertical grip, which is available for almost every DMR, it becomes much easier to control because it has little to no recoil. A big part of Siege that is quite hard to get the hang of is fully automatic weapons, and learning to control those takes a little bit of time. It's not something that gets gifted to you on a silver platter. If players can control automatic weapons or just struggling to do so that day, they could just say, man, forget about this, I'm gonna hop on DMRs from now on, and they don't have to worry about recoil because DMRs barely have any. This actually happens a lot. I'm not talking about Rex and these clips, by the way, because he's popping off. But now let's analyze this next clip because it perfectly shows the power of a DMR. Skies with the 417 is sitting back holding a tight angle through the construction window. G2 on the other end is upstairs holding the gem bomb site, but they extend their defense a few rooms over to deny map control early on into the round. Eventually, G2 wants to fall off of these positions after forcing Gen G to clear them out, and then play around the objective. However, their pathway to the objective is being cut off by Skies with the 417 sitting on the window. Now, Laura on G2 is very aware of potentially being cut off here, so he goes a quick peek the window for information and proceeds to immediately get 2-tapped. Now, the thing about this is Sky's crosshair placement is not even at head level, and that wasn't a headshot kill either. I won't confidently say he's aiming at the body on purpose, but with the DMR, especially one that 2-taps, it feels like you should aim at the body on purpose. Why would you worry about headshots when you can aim at the body and 2-tap someone with extremely low delay between the shots if you click fast enough? Because of the low recoil that goes along with it, the skill gap with these weapons is much lower. 2-tapping with low recoil doesn't require much skill, but this is actually only part of what makes them so good. What's also really strong is their magazine sizes. Out of the 7 DMRs in Siege, 5 of them have a magazine size of 20 bullets normally and +1 after tactical reloading. This is a pretty large number of bullets, and it completely changes how you approach most fights. If you go to create a hole in the wall, it only takes around 4 bullets to get it done. That leaves 16 or 17 bullets still available to use in any fight that comes after making that hole. Same goes for shooting down a barricade. It only takes 7 bullets, which leaves 13 or 14 still available to use in whatever way you would like. There's no risk you're taking here at all because there will always be bullets available in the DMRs that carry 20+1. However, with a few other DMRs, the lower magazine is at least something you have to worry about. The AR-1550 cal has 10+1 in this magazine, the TCSG, although it's like shotgun, has 10+1 as well, and Glaz's DMR has 15+1. These weapons hit really hard, and in return, you have to focus on your ammo usage or else in the middle of a fight, you risk running out of ammo. Spamming multiple shots one after another and still being able to contest the player without ever reloading should be punished and not rewarded, especially when you look at what else DMRs are capable of. They can open up soft hatches. There's obviously a lot of scenarios where opening a soft hatch is needed, and you can replace many soft breaching operators or gadgets with the one that is a DMR because it gets the same job done. In fact, it does the job even better. They're also good to bring for zombie barriers. A zombie being one of the best defenders can get completely shut down by breaking all of the barriers with the DMR. You can also use another primary weapon, but with the difference in the amount of time it takes between the two, why would you not only ever want to use a DMR for it? All in all, the destruction is great for DMRs, but the low recoil and large magazine sizes are not. And because of the history of mobility changes and movement changes, I really think it's no surprise the meta has now come to this. If we go back a few years ago, Siege was a much faster paced game than it is now, and because it was so fast, everyone would call the gameplay Team Deathmatch. Basically, you're playing Call of Duty on Rainbow Six Siege. However, strategy and tactical play is what Siege is designed for, so the team deathmatch style never really worked out. And this resulted in universally nerfing mobility over time, and the Year 9 Season 1 patch played a big role in this. The time to transition from hipfire to aiming down sights has been increased across all weapons, when idling or walking, and also when going from sprint to aiming down sights. Before this nerf, all assault rifles had an ADS speed of 400 milliseconds, and then after the nerf, it went up to 520 milliseconds to ADS. This big of a change happened to all weapons, and to counteract it, they made the laser sight attachment give a 10% decrease in ADS speed. But if you were to use a laser sight, it also puts you at a slight disadvantage. The red laser is not invisible to enemy players, which means your position can be revealed if someone spots your laser, and from there you can get pre-fired pretty easily. So with the faster pace playstyle being nerfed and the game slowing down, well, that means the slower pace playstyle will now dominate. Say hello to DMRs. Every really strong DMR is primarily on attackers, but there's one defender that actually falls under the same problems as well. Siege for a while has had magnified scopes on defense for automatic primary weapons and DMRs. These magnified scopes are the best for medium to long range gunfights and is what you've seen in every clip I've shown so far. Now because magnified scopes are really good, Doc would turn out to have the highest pick rate out of every defender on both PC and console. He has a magnified scope, a decent automatic weapon, and a full self-sustaining kit. This was a whole nother problem I won't get into, but he would mainly get picked because of that magnified scope. It was way too easy to be aggressive with, like spawn peeking, and everyone was addicted to it, bro. With the release of Year 10 Season 3, Ubisoft actually removed magnified scopes from every automatic weapon except for slug shotguns and DMRs. Aruni and Tubarão have a DMR, and a few other operators have slug shotguns, but those aren't as good as DMRs. Now throughout Season 3, unsurprisingly, Aruni with her magnified scope and a pretty good DMR will turn out to have the highest pick rate out of every defender on PC. The MK14 is Aruni's DMR, and it hits the mark on almost everything that makes him so strong. It has decent damage that can 2-tap 1 and 2 health operators, it has really low recoil, the magazine size is 20+1, and it does all of the same soft destruction. We've seen the problem with these weapons, and now an operator with 1 on defense is all of a sudden the highest picked defender. Instead of docking the other operators being aggressive with automatic weapons and magnified scopes, it's just now the best weapon class in the game taking its place. What's really strange is every lobby was already infested with DMRs, and in the new season, Season 4, Siege went on to release a new DMR called the PMR 90A2. It's for attackers specifically, Capitão, Hibana, Nook, and Thatcher Carrier. Before Season 4, the attacking side had a good 12 DMRs already, but now going into Season 4, more than half the attacking roster now has one available in their loadout. The PMR is added to operators that will 100% get playing time too. That means as a defender, you're possibly going up against 5 DMRs every round because the amount that are available. Funnily enough, this is exactly what pro players went on Twitter and complained about only a few days into the new season. The PMR also has good stats. It has the same damage as the MK14, which can 2-tap 1 and 2 health operators, and it follows the same problem of having literally no recoil and way too many bullets. But now that we understand the problem at hand, what can Siege do to fix this issue? I'm not against 2-tapping being a thing, because DMRs are naturally supposed to hit hard, and if you take that away, that'll be too hard of a nerf and make them useless. However, the low recoil aspect is very cheap and takes away from grinding and having that satisfactory of getting good at a weapon. Take Twitch for example. She has a 417 and an F2 you can choose from. The F2 has recoil that pretty much goes to the moon and takes some getting used to, but it rewards you for being good at it with the high fire rate and close range dominance. Compare that to the 417. The 417 is far more easier to use and be consistent with and rewards you even more than the F2 would. I'm also against the large magazine sizes. The amount of bullets that are in many of the DMRs means you'll always have some available for way too many scenarios. The last and final thing is completely taking them away from a few operators. 16 operators having a DMR on attack is absurd, so knocking that number down by a bit would fix a lot of issues. I understand the game has been defender-sided since its release, and that's always been a huge problem, so making it slightly attacker-sided is good. However, making an extremely slow playstyle of the meta like this is very boring. When you see DMRs in every single game and every single person is using one, it gets stale because too many DMRs is not fun to play with, and it sure is not fun to play against. This DMR meta has also been here for a long time, they just haven't been in the spotlight like shields have been, up until recently of course, so making some big meta changing moves would be great to see. And I know I just said a bunch of nerfs, which does seem wild, but they don't at all have to do every single one of them. Siege have actually said they're going to cut back on the amount of nerfs they do and focus on buffing instead, which I heavily agree with by the way, but it doesn't hurt to still do slight nerfs alongside the buffs as well. Make sure to subscribe and watch this video on the screen. 2026 is going to be a year full of banger videos. Let's go. Peace out, y'all.